Hello, this is Group 5's presentation over wildlife ecotoxicology of pesticides. What are pesticides? According to National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, pesticides are any substance intended to kill or repel certain plant or animal organisms. Pesticides can be grouped by the types of pests they are intended for. For example, insecticides are insect-related, herbicides are plant-related, and fungicides are bacteria and fungus-related. After the addressment of environmental risk of pesticides, with the publication of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, effect-related research began to increase. Researchers began supervising population-level effects within different organisms, and in the article it refers to raptorial birds after DDT was found in their environment. Formation of wildlife poisoning surveillance programs around the world. But of course, with this, data is scattered due to the lack of establishment in many countries. Studies have been conducted on incidents to report the effects on individuals, and also, according to the article, honeybee poisoning incidents declined in the United Kingdom because less organophosphate usage in pesticides.
Pesticides will infect individual organisms a variety of different ways, such as wild birds experiencing eggshell thinning, bees and other pollinators having depleted food sources and becoming sick with pesticides, and specialty crops such as wine or grapes not being genetically altered enough to thrive under the absorption of chemicals. The majority of effects on individual organisms result in one or more of the following: reproductive problems, failure to thrive, premature or sudden death, decreased colony size, susceptibility to illness or parasites, unusual behavior, or affected memory and cognitive abilities. In the graph to the left, you will see individual and specific effects on organisms.
As stated in the previous slide, individuals in different groups are affected by pesticides. This ultimately leads to the entire population of these groups being affected in the future. Specifically, mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, insects, and other invertebrates, and plants and fungi are the groups mainly affected. All these groups are affected in different ways due to the ways the individuals in their population were previously affected. Although they are all affected differently, there is a common negative effect on each population. Specifically, as seen in the chart, mammals suffer an increased mortality, birds typically have mass deaths and population declines, reptiles have affected population parameters, amphibians experience a population decline, fish suffer mass deaths, insects experience decreased colony sizes, and plants suffer impaired phytoplankton. All these negative effects of pesticides hurts populations immensely. This ultimately isn't good for an ecosystem.
A community is made up of all living individuals that interact with each other in a common area, and an ecosystem is made up of all living individuals and non-living organisms that interact with each other in a common area. On the community level, changes in food could lead to the decline of predators, which would then lead to different nutrient cycles and the decline of ecosystem function in ecosystems. This image shows how global change can contribute to many different changes, including changes in pesticides and their effects on populations and ecosystems. An example of this would be global change such as warming that could contribute to change in how pesticides interact with individuals, and a change in individuals could then lead to changes all the way up through to ecosystems.
Solutions to microevolution in future research. So first off, what is microevolution? Microevolution describes how a population of organisms adapt in response to a stimuli in their environment. In this article specifically, the stimuli refers to pesticides used on plants that certain diseases and bacteria feed on. Because of the fast reproduction rate and short lifespan of these organisms, they can evolve quickly so that the fertilizer won't kill or harm them. The more pesticides we use, the more their resistance grows. Some studies show that it might be beneficial to cut out pesticides altogether short term, to stop the resistance from growing more. Pesticide impact on the environment hasn't fully been investigated, though problems like decreases in the bee population over the past years can be linked to their increased use. Even biopesticides could be harmful. In the future, it will be important to study the changes in the environment where pesticides are used to understand the full scope of their impact on the land and the organisms that live there.
These are the additional web links used for this presentation.